Welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. My name is Drew, and as always, I am joined by my very good friend, Mr. Badway.
Pleasure to be here.
Want to welcome all new listeners. For those that do not know, this is our bi-weekly mini-sode covering new and upcoming releases, thoughts on what we're currently watching, games, and anything else that comes to mind. If you're looking for us on the interwebs, hit our website up at thelastrowpodcast.com, on Twitter at thelastrowpod, facebook.com/thelastrowpod. And if you're really feeling generous, please head out to iTunes, hit that subscribe button, give us a 5-star review. We really, really appreciate it.
Give us all the reviews. Last Row on demand. This week's topics include the new Ghostbusters trailer. Ooh. Oh, man, it's so good. Not really, but... and topics about reboots in general, our feelings on them, and our own special rules for making them that all of Hollywood should abide by.
They are the hard rules that we've created.
And then we'll close the episode up with a little bit of what we're watching and a little bit of a method acting game.
You're bringing the game back?
We're bringing the game back.
We got a game this week.
And we're going hard.
I'm pretty excited. So. Did you method act? Did you method create the game?
Oh, absolutely. I crammed myself in a room in my Batman suit like Ben Affleck. It really just cranked one out.
You quit your job you quit your day job to become a game creator to create a game for this show.
Absolutely.
Well, let's just jump right into it. Thoughts on your Ghostbusters trailer?
It was okay.
Did you love it?
No.
Did you think it was the greatest thing ever?
No. Did I like it? No.
Did you hate it?
No. Was it necessary?
No.
No.
And we'll get into that.
I don't know. No, it's funny because the trailer, they seem to point it towards the newer audience rather than the nostalgic audience.
But they started out with the nostalgia.
They did.
And I'm sure by now everybody's seen everybody's reaction to this trailer on the internet, but I really feel like since we're such big Ghostbusters fans, we need to put our 2 cents in here.
Yeah. So I feel like when you're tackling a reboot such as this that has such fanfare,
magnitude,
you try to balance the line between getting new viewers in there and capturing the youth of the old ones, the nostalgia factor.
Right.
And I feel like as trailers come along, there's probably going to be like 5 trailers for this thing before it comes out. When does it come out? July?
It's in the summer.
August.
Which I think is actually pretty fast for like not seeing anything.
Yeah.
You've seen something a couple months before.
Yeah, they held the trailer for a while.
Did they do that for a reason? Were they scared?
Maybe.
I don't know.
The trailers don't matter, really.
But I read a thing that said that Paul Feig's trailers typically have been underwhelming, just historically for the movies he's made. Apparently, I have not seen Spy, but I've heard it was great. Everyone said that the Spy trailer looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes a difference.
You know who had a good trailer?
Which one?
Medellin.
Yep. We said no more Entourage talk.
Yeah, no. We're gonna have to talk about Entourage every day.
Yeah.
No. But seriously, M. Night Shyamalan has great trailers.
He does.
What about his movies?
Not so great.
Not so much, huh? So I think it's generally kind of dumb to rate trailers, review trailers. Like you sent me a YouTube video of
like a reaction,
of a reaction video to the Ghostbusters trailer,
right?
Which I don't know. I feel like it's kind of unnecessary because it's just a piece of the movie. It's all about marketing, and they're marketing the slapstick aspect of that movie with a little bit of the nostalgia thrown in the beginning. Oh, there's the car. Oh, there's Slimer. Oh, there's the slow paced Ghostbusters theme, kind of creepy. But really, all they're doing is trying to set you up for the setting and what's going to be in the movie. But you really can't tell mood or tone of the movie. And I think that's exactly where this movie's gonna live or die.
Yeah, and I think this will get into some of our next topics. But the one thing that I saw in that reaction video that I sent you, and a couple others that I saw, and it's not necessarily a problem with it because I don't want to hate on something based on a trailer. That's just not what I try to do here.
Yep.
It's just it's interesting because I question whether they should have made it to begin with, because they've been trying to make a Ghostbusters forever.
Yeah, like Ghostbusters 3 has been on the back burner since 1990.
Right. Yeah. And listen, I'm probably going to enjoy it just because I like generally every movie. I mean, people that listen to the show know that by now.
Yeah.
I mean, I generally like everything.
It's a love fest.
But the point, I think, of this movie was, it's just interesting. It opened with like this nostalgia thing, like, oh, in 1984, like 4 scientists.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the original.
Right.
And that reaction trailer said that too. So I just didn't really understand where they were going with it. Am I skeptical about the movie? Yeah, but I'd be skeptical about it whether it was the new old guys too. You know what I mean? If they remade it 30 years later.
Bring the old crew back. Yeah.
I just, I question whether you need it. You didn't even really need Ghostbusters 2 to begin with.
No.
So, I don't know. I just thought it was all right.
Did it, but
I'm skeptical of it, but you know what? I'll watch it and I probably will enjoy it anyway. It's got some good actors in it, so it's not like it doesn't have comedic power, and the
Right.
director is historically good.
Yeah.
So the jury's out, in my opinion. I'm just cautiously optimistic about it, I guess, is the right way to say it.
Right. So we're talking about reboots here in this episode a little bit. How would you have felt if they would have slapped a 3 on the back of this thing instead of calling it a reboot?
I mean, it would change the whole tone of the movie. It depends
Yeah.
on what the story is.
Right.
So if it's a continuation, whether it's, I don't know, one of the scientist's daughters, or whether it's, their, cousins or what, some type of family
Some kind
connection,
of loose, like in the first 5 minutes.
or one of their students.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes, they mention the names Stantz, Spengler, and Venkman.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be a traditional sequel, which would be fine. But I guess you call this a reboot. But if they slap a 3 on it, but have this same story, like Home Alone rules, where Home Alone 3
Home Alone 3.
it has nothing to do with Kevin McAllister, doesn't have Macaulay Culkin in. It's just a kid who's home alone who sets traps for burglars.
Do you think that hurt that movie because people expected it to be like Kevin's son or Kevin's nephew?
Yeah, well, I mean, the movie. How could you hurt a movie that comes out direct to VHS or whatever?
I guess that's true. Was it a theatrical release? I don't remember.
It might have been very limited, but I have seen that where they call it a sequel. They called it Home Alone 3, but really what it is a reboot or a reimagining, if you will.
Yeah.
So could they have done that for this movie as well?
I guess they could have.
People have been clamoring for Ghostbusters 3. Like the title Ghostbusters 3. They could have made a lot of money, I felt, on the 3.
Yeah, like it's the sequel. Or has it been too long?
Put the ghost with the 3 fingers up,
But has it been too long?
That's what I'm saying. It might have been too long, so they had to go reboot style.
Speaking of Home Alone, what does a Home Alone in 2016 reboot look like? We talked about things have to be bigger. They got to be badder. They got to be like crazier.
Yeah.
What does Home Alone in 2016, like, let's reboot Home Alone.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Is it like, the kid, like, this is my vision of it. Tell me if you agree.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about this a little earlier when we were talking. I imagine, Kevin McAllister, let's just call him Kevin McAllister.
Yeah.
He's home on like house arrest because he owes people drug money.
So he's older.
Yeah.
So is he a minor?
He's on house arrest as a minor, but he's
juvenile?
like 16. He's like a juvenile.
Like Shia LaBeouf in Disturbia.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm imagining,
Yeah.
now go bear with me on this.
All right.
I'm imagining like sort of a Disturbia / Home Alone / The Equalizer.
Ooh, The Equalizer.
Great movies.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining a situation where he was dealing drugs.
Yeah.
He's home on house arrest, but the high level dealer is after him.
He still owes them his cut for the week.
Right.
But he's on house arrest.
He still owes them like 10 G's.
Yeah.
Let's say he owes them 10 G's, but he's stuck in the house.
Yeah.
So they know where he is.
Uh-huh.
They know how to get to him.
Yeah.
And he's got to protect himself.
Right.
His parents are out on vacation or something, and they just think, you know what, the cops have him. So it's a combination of Disturbia, The Equalizer.
Hold on a second. He got pinched, right? He got arrested. He's on house arrest.
Yeah.
What kind of parents are going on vacation while their kid's on house arrest?
What kind of parents forgot their kid
The
at the airport?
McAllisters.
The McAllisters.
The rich, powerful lawyer duo.
Don't
Yeah.
forget
All right.
who you're dealing with.
That's true.
What I'm saying is he's home alone. He's stuck there. He doesn't really have any weapons.
So this is rated R.
This is definitely rated.
Yeah.
It's a hard R,
Hard
too.
R.
It's going to be
Okay.
hard
All
R,
right.
like borderline NC-17.
So one of the scenes, Buzz comes in to visit. He gets
Yeah.
caught up in it. He probably accidentally gets shot.
Oh, yeah. He might have
or
actually...
not even accidentally. They just get him.
Yeah, they might get him.
Yeah.
And instead of Fuller wetting the bed,
Yeah.
like Fuller's stealing his drugs.
Okay.
Like he's stealing his heroin. He's stealing whatever. It's like, this is a dramatic movie here.
Plot twist. The end. The boss at the end.
Yeah.
It's Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank
It's
is
gotta
the
be
bad
Uncle
guy.
Frank, right?
Uncle Frank is the actually the higher level dealer. It's the dealer's boss. I don't know what that is in drug speak, but that's who it is.
All right. Well, got off tangent there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Let's circle back to Ghostbusters
Yes.
now. When you talk about now, this could easily have been a sequel. This could have been Kevin McAllister 10 years later, clearly. So we talk about Ghostbusters 3. There kind of was a Ghostbusters 3, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was called The Watch, wasn't it? With
Right.
Ben Stiller and Jonah Hill and
Vince
so
Vaughn.
on and so forth.
It's fun.
Yeah, Vince
Yep.
Vaughn. I mean, what'd you think of that movie? Did you like it?
Yeah, well, hadn't there been rumors for a long time that there was going to be a Ghostbusters 3, like in the mid to late 2000s, and it was going to be Ben Stiller, and I think Jonah Hill was also
Yeah.
rumored, and if I'm wrong, I think also the Vince Vaughn as well too.
It was
the
rumored for a
three of
long
them
time.
were like very much rumored to be a part of a possible Ghostbusters project in the future.
Yeah.
So do you think that was a legit thing that turned into the watch when the Ghostbusters aspect of it fell through, the name Ghostbusters?
I think that's a good question because, they probably, could they have been the Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Yes. And again, it comes back to time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit closer to the originals. We're dealing with
Yeah.
even further away from the originals.
Right.
I think maybe they had an idea or maybe they wanted to do it.
Uh-huh.
It didn't work out. So they probably had a loose idea. They could have easily changed, ghosts for aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about aliens, right? In
Well,
the neighborhood.
Yeah, they might have changed Ghost for Aliens. And at the time, Stiller and Vaughn were hot at the time.
Yeah.
So it was very much a real thing. I feel like it was a loose script for Ghostbusters 3 that was scrapped early, but they still decided to make it anyway and just kind of just change the name of it, which I feel like a lot of projects should do. A lot of these reboots that they make, I think it would be a lot better if they were to just
Make something original.
not call it that. Just doing Total Recall. Don't call it Total Recall, but make it very similar to Total Recall. And I feel like it would be a much better movie just to not have the expectations of its it's not a rebootee.
It's
A rebootor?
Rebootor.
The rebootor.
Yeah, it's the
I
Rebootor.
don't even know how to say it.
But I guess that leads us to our next topic, and it's a good segue. Like, when is it acceptable to reboot something versus make something called The Watch?
There
and
has
it's really
to be-
Ghostbusters 3.
Sorry. There has to be rules. There has to be a system in place for us to determine what is rebootable and what is not rebootable. Unrebootable?
Unrebuttable.
Unrebuttable.
That's
Yes.
how I would say it.
There has to be concrete rules. And we happen to have a list of 4 rules that we brainstormed and came up with that I think all of Hollywood should abide by. So when you take your movie, you run your movie up to the final boss of Hollywood, he needs to clear you on all 4 of these charges before you're able to proceed with your movie.
Does the final boss of the internet work for the final boss of Hollywood, or is it the other way around, or are they coworkers?
The internet is now stronger than Hollywood.
So the final boss of Hollywood works for the final boss of the internet.
Yes.
I like to imagine that guy is in an office somewhere.
So I don't know
LA.
who the final boss of Hollywood is. Maybe it's Harvey Weinstein or something like that.
Harvey Weinstein sounds about right.
Yeah.
So let's call this. Let's just call it Drew and Badway's rules for rebooting a movie.
Yes.
Tell me about these rules, Badway.
Well, these go in descending order. So in order to get to level 2, you have to pass level 1, so to speak.
It's like a gate system.
Yeah, right.
Like pass this gate.
Exactly. So the first and foremost, you have to ask yourself this question when you bring your movie to the boss of Hollywood, the final boss of Hollywood. What genre is this movie? Is it a superhero movie or a horror movie? If your answer is yes to either, then you're automatically allowed
You
to
go to
make it.
gate 2.
Yeah, you can automatically get to the next part. Because honestly, superhero movies and horror movies were born to be rebooted and remade. They're the least complained about of all. Like if you wanted to make a new Friday the 13th or a new Nightmare on Elm Street or a new Halloween, nobody's going to cry about it. Nobody's going to complain about it. And superhero movies were born to be rebooted. Like,
Yeah, because the comics are rebooted all the
Yes,
time. The comics have been
exactly.
going on since like the
Yeah.
50s.
yeah, everyone's going to want a new Batman movie. Everyone's going to want a new Spider-Man movie until the superhero craze of our generation finally ends, which may or may not ever
But-
happen.
In addition to, maybe just the comics, but like, why do you think that is? What's the reason behind why it works with a superhero movie and a horror movie?
Well, it's part of it is the technology,
Yeah.
is the graphics and the CGI of today. Like for example, we'll talk about the Evil Dead.
That
Evil Dead was one of the best horror reboots I've seen in a long time. And if you watch the original Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 for that matter, a lot of the graphics and the gore is borderline, not borderline, it is ridiculous.
yeah.
And I know it's part of its charm and it's definitely a classic, but to make a movie like that with that kind of atmosphere and actually have it literally raining blood at the end of the movie and it looks badass and it looks scary as shit, that's a worthwhile reboot in my opinion.
Yeah. Because you improved,
Yeah.
or you made it different. You put your own flavor on it, right?
Yeah. And you're allowed to do that with the tools of today.
And the superhero movies, it's just kind of a given that those are rebooted all the time because
Right.
it's like, well, time for a new one, with exception. So what's rule number 2? What's a gate number 2? Excuse me.
So the second question you have to ask yourself is this movie a classic?
But what makes it? What's your definition of a classic?
That's where we get a little bumpy. how do you define a classic? Do you go around a poll? Do you have a worldwide vote to see, is this movie, we're trying to make a Ghostbusters movie, should we make this movie? And if enough votes pass, then you're allowed to make the movie.
Is it like the Academy? The Academy has to vote that it's allowed? Like there's a focus group or something?
It could be very simple. I feel like it's simple enough to where if you have iconic characters in a movie, it should definitely not ever be rebooted. Now, I think Ghostbusters is one of them. I'm not going to cry about it that they made a reboot, and I'll probably see this movie in the theater first weekend. That's just the fanboy that I am, but I can begrudgingly watch it, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to reboot The Godfather, you know?
I mean, could you imagine if they rebooted The Godfather? Yeah. But that's why people complain, because I think to some people, Ghostbusters is their Godfather, and that's why people are upset, for right or wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that Ghostbusters is on the same level as The Godfather.
Right.
But to some people it is, and that's why some people have that like visceral reaction.
Yeah,
like this is such a classic to me.
I feel like a lot of the classic movies kind of speak for themselves. Like as far as comedies go, Ghostbusters has to be up there on the list. And as far as other dramatic movies, like we said, Godfather, like why would they remake Shawshank? Like there's no reason to remake Shawshank. Or Scarface is another one. As Scarface isn't that great of a movie per se, but it's held in such high revere with Al Pacino's performance. Remaking it kind of, there's no reason to do it.
Why would you do it?
Right.
Why? You know?
There should be every time you reboot a movie, you should strive to improve upon it. So, and how could you do that with a classic movie? Right.
Yeah. So what's rule number 3 or gate number 3?
The third one is simple. It's time. How much time has passed since the original had been made? Right.
So what's your rule for how are we defining time?
So I thought about this a little bit, and we talk about Spider-Man. You're allowed to reboot Spider-Man as per Rule 1, but since they rebooted Spider-Man 5 years after Spider-Man 3 into the Garfield Spider-Man, Spider-Mans,
Spider-Mans.
Yeah. So there's got to be more time because you have Spider-Man fatigue. So just like me, I'm already out. Like I don't need to see more Spider-Mans.
You're piecing?
Yeah. So, but had they waited a little bit, now I know they had to. Don't get me all the nerd talk about, we're gonna lose the license and we have to make a new Spider-Man, right? Or they're gonna take it from us. Nobody's taking your Spider-Man, all right? We don't want it. So 5 years is way too short. I say 15 years. Do you agree or disagree?
15 years. That means that they could have rebooted Ghostbusters in what? 1989, so 2005.
You can't get past level 2, buddy. You can't remake Ghostbusters.
True, because it's not a classic.
Yeah.
I guess, because who needed a new Fantastic Four movie too? That's the same thing. It's like Fantastic 4 or 5 or whatever, many there were. They weren't good. Yeah.
Now, Spider-Man 3 happened. It wasn't very good. You could have made 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 because the sequel is different than the reboot.
Right. They rebooted it with Garfield.
Completely reboot it, then you got to wait. Like the same thing with Incredible Hulk. Yeah, the first Incredible Hulk wasn't very good with Eric Bana. Then they did the one with Ed Norton like right away. It's like, give it time. It didn't work. Stop trying to force it down our throats.
So what if let me ask you this question. What if they made Incredible Hulk 2 and just recast him?
You can do that.
So you're allowed. You can do that.
You got to follow the story a little bit.
So you can make a sequel to where he fights his dad as a monster in the end. Yeah. And it's actually just Eric Bana was replaced with Ed Norton. Kind of like what Vinny Chase was replaced by Jake Gyllenhaal. It was a direct sequel.
If your movie's plot is an origin story, it better have been 15 years since the last one. All right, that's all I'm saying.
That's your hard rule.
That's the rule for Rule 3, right? That's what I have for Rule 3. Is 15 good for you, or would you have more or less?
I mean, I don't know. Think about like Karate Kid. Is that a classic? I don't know if that fits rule
I don't
number
know if
2.
It's a classic.
Gate number 2.
It's a fan favorite. Like people flipped out when they said they were going to reboot Turtles.
Ninja Turtles?
Ninja Turtles, yeah.
That to me comes up with genre. That's like
really
Turtles
classic.
Turtles is a comic book movie to me.
But I'm saying it's not even a classic, so you're allowed to reboot it. And I don't know the time frame between TMNT, which was 2014, I think.
Yeah.
And Turtles 3, Turtles in Time, which was probably in the early 90s, so I think they're covered anyway.
Bad. It was.
But I'm saying that was the last time, and I'm not counting the cartoon one because cartoons are their own.
But that was a direct sequel anyway. That was a direct sequel. But I guess where I would ask you is like, for something like Karate Kid, where, they made Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
with Terry Silver, the greatest, villain of all time. Ponytail, greased back hair, smoking cigars in the bathtub.
Got nothing better to do than ruin a little kid's life.
Taking calls as an evil CEO, taking his break. I love that movie. I'll only plug our only other episode. If you like Karate Kid 3, go back and listen to it because we really went on like a whole rant about how much we love him.
It's 50 minutes of Terry Silver, but
they made the new Karate Kid, right? Is that what it was called? The next Karate Kid.
No, the next Karate Kid
with Hilary Swank.
With Hilary Swank, yeah.
But it was, I don't remember because I've never seen it.
Yeah.
It had Mr. Miyagi. It wasn't a reboot.
It's a sequel.
It was a sequel, right?
Yeah.
So that's allowed.
That's allowed.
They changed the character.
Yeah. Plus,
So
they had
that's
the
allowed.
Miyagi. If you could pull back the same character, then you're fine. You're fine.
So let's recap here. So gate number 1 is genre. Gate number 2 is whether it's a classic or not.
Yeah.
Gate number 3 is how much time has passed. What's gate number 4? This is the last gate.
Number 4, and I can't stress this enough, as far as like, is this necessary, right?
Like,
So
how do we
after you
word
pass
it?
the first 3, how much effort is being put into this movie? As a filmmaker, what are you going to do for us as viewers and as consumers of these movies?
So like, are you saying like what's going to be different? Are you going to improve
Why
it?
are you making this, basically? And if you have a good enough answer, or you show positive steps to improve upon a story that was already told, then you're allowed to make the movie.
So based on what you know, should Roadhouse be rebooted?
Yeah, well, that's a very good example. So Roadhouse, it's a cult classic, but it's not a classic per se,
The
right?
movie itself is great because it's cheesy.
Right, exactly. So to make that movie in today's age, it passes the time test now. Don't get me wrong. So it's there. It's at part 4. But is it really going to be better? Now you're bringing in an actress who's going to play the Swayze character. It's Ronda Rousey, right?
Yes.
Is that she's the main? She's going to be the
My
the
understanding is that she's the cooler.
Yeah, she's the cooler, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, you roll the dice bringing Ronda Rousey in here because at the time she had been undefeated and she's basically female Terminator, right?
Yeah, like you can't beat her.
Right. So she's not a great actress, but she is a badass, right?
Definitely in real life.
She's still a badass, but she's been beaten since then. So
Do you think it puts a damper on it?
it does put a damper on it, yes. So when they're making this movie, is that enough? I feel like they're making the movie to have Ronda Rousey in it because it's the showcase. We have Ronda Rousey. She's going to beat up a bunch of people. Right?
I could agree with what you're saying because it was like when she was at the height of everybody loved Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
People still do, and I do too. She's great. But it's like she was undefeated.
Yeah.
She was on top of the world. Hey, we have this movie about this guy who's this mysterious badass, never gets beat, kicks everybody's ass.
So
Let's put her in it.
So is that enough of a reason to remake Roadhouse, or should they just make a female bouncer movie and call it something freaking else? Now, I would be more inclined to see a movie featuring Ronda Rousey as a bouncer or a cooler if it were just simply called Ronda Rousey's Here to Kick Your Ass, or something simple, just as simple as that, over Roadhouse, just calling it Roadhouse and having it follow the same loose story. Because that's lazy. Just call it something else. You can even copy the movie for all I care. Just call it something else.
Now, what about Point Break? They remade Point Break. I haven't seen the new one, but I've seen the original.
Yeah.
And the original is a movie up there with, I don't know if it's because it's Swayze, but it's up there in a classic. It's a great movie. It's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah.
Johnny Utah.
Right.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, why are you making it? Are you improving upon it? No, you're not really improving upon it. Just make it instead of surfers, make it snowboarders.
Yeah.
Have the same freaking story, make it be snowboarders and call it Breakpoint. Just call it something different.
They could even keep it surfers and call it High Tide.
Yeah.
Or
call
like
it Danger Beach.
or Danger Beach or High Tide. Or even like Gnarly Waves. I don't know.
something.
I'm not a surfer. I don't know.
Yeah, so movies like that, like Point Break, Red Dawn's another one.
RoboCop.
Total Recall with freaking Colin Farrell.
Is that the best, the highly most, how do I say this? The most highly cast reboot?
Yeah, that's a pretty good get to get Colin Farrell.
He's a pretty big
And
actor.
I didn't see it, but it seemed clear to me that they tried. So I think I might give him a pass for that.
Well, you would give it a shot?
Yeah. I would watch it, put it that way.
Yeah.
And you said RoboCop. I thought RoboCop was pretty good. Like, they tried. Dredd's another one. They tried. And Judge Dredd was pretty shitty anyway with Stallone and
original.
Rob Schneider, right? So
It's got Rob Schneider
so
in it.
if you prove that you're going to try to make it better than the original, then you pass.
Go for it.
Then go for
Go
it.
for
Green
it.
light, green lit, go right ahead.
But if you're just going with... So I think maybe Ghostbusters gets the pass because it looks like they're trying really hard.
They are trying.
They're trying hard to like call back to the originals.
I don't know if it passes level 2 though.
Yeah.
Classic. Why reboot a classic? Are you going to make it better than original Ghostbusters? Then what are we doing?
What about one last one here?
Yes.
One of my favorite cult classics.
Yes.
That definitely did not need to be remade.
So it's not passing level 4?
The Eli Roth classic, Cabin Fever, with starring Sean Hunter as the main character.
It's such a great, dumb movie. It really is.
It's, everybody knows not to sit next to Dennis.
Don't sit next to Dennis. No, if you've seen it, it's kind of a spoof of horror movies in a way.
Tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, tongue-in-cheekish. It's an homage. I mean, that's what a lot of Eli Roth does is homages. Is that a plural of homage?
Homages.
Homage?
Homage?
Yeah. So this Cabin Fever movie, I think it just came out. It was released on demand. So this was 12 years after. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 10.
I remember seeing that in the theater.
Yeah. So this movie came out maybe 10 years after the original. And the kicker is, it is a shot-for-shot remake of the original. Dialogue, camera angles, apparently. Just the actors are different, and the director's different, and that's the end of it. I think they threw out a couple of the racist scenes that were from the original.
Oh, yeah. But is that like somebody says, hey, I have some homework for you. You have to do this research paper, sit down and type exactly what I wrote. You can't copy and paste.
Yeah.
You have to literally take the effort and type this 50-page research paper that I wrote for you.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at this movie. It's not being shoved down anybody's throat or anything, but it just baffles me as to why make the movie? How are you possibly making money on this as a film? Who greenlit this?
So we'll put this in the show notes, but just so you know, read the rules one last time. Just give me the top levels.
All right, so genre. What genre is this movie? And if it's a horror movie or a superhero movie, it gets a pass. 2, is this movie a classic? And a classic should be understood. It's pretty self-explanatory, character-wise or actor-wise. Breakthrough performance.
A la The Godfather.
Yes. 3, time. How much time has passed? I say 15 years. If it's after 15 years, go for the reboot. If it's before 15 years, just hold on a second before you make your Spider-Mans. 4, how much effort is being put into this? What are they doing? Are they going to improve upon the original, or at least try to improve upon the original?
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
This might be the most important question you get all day.
Okay.
Because we just spent 6 hours playing Rocket League. We're going to do it again after we're done.
I want to play right
here.
now. Can we stop this?
We're going to do it again after we're done. So there's no more questions for the day. Has a movie ever been remade with the original star?
I can't think of one.
There's one that I can think of.
Do you have one in mind? I can't think of one.
There's one that I can think of.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a reboot, a hard reboot, a soft reboot.
We're even questioning this.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think that the studio.
It sounds ridiculous to even have done. But
I don't think the studio took it through the True and Badway rules for rebooting a movie. It was Ghost Rider : because it's got to have a colon.
Gotta have a colon.
Spirit of Vengeance.
So Nick Cage rebooted himself.
I don't know the story behind this film.
I don't know if he did it. Yeah.
But I know that he wasn't thrilled with the reception of the first one, so they made a second one.
See, I thought that was a straight up sequel.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I
didn't see either one, but
I'm not up on my Ghost Rider lore. I don't know.
I'll tell you what though. I don't question you because it seems like a Nick Cage thing to do.
He wasn't happy with it, so he wanted to redo it.
Yeah, because Nick Cage makes movies. He doesn't want to be made to look like a fool. All right, so when he makes movies, he's all in on it. So obviously Nick Cage makes sense, right? So is there how hardcore could we go? Who would be the most ridiculous guy to walk up and want to reboot his movie?
We need to get into the depths of the mind, into the head of a Daniel Day-Lewis.
A method actor.
That's what I would say, the best of the best. The cream of the crop.
So it's funny. So you have Daniel Day-Lewis, who's this great actor. He's winning award upon award upon award. Chooses his movies very wisely. Now, say he's such a perfectionist. He went and did Gangs in New York. It was a great movie, right?
Yeah.
He just wasn't feeling his performance. He could have done better, right? So would he ever demand a reboot and star in it himself do it better to win an Oscar?
Yeah, let's say he hadn't won the Oscar for Lincoln.
Yeah.
If he lost to whoever.
Yeah.
Would he have said, no, I could do that better. We got to do it. He's certainly not going to go through the gates that we put together, the rules. But I think he would do it.
So he calls up Marty, calls up Leo. Let's get the gang back together, guys. We can do this better.
Well, that's
I know
the question.
We can do it.
Would he demand a new cast because maybe the factors of the cast screwed him up?
What if Leo wasn't up to snuff? Who knows?
That's what I mean. he wasn't able to act his best because someone else was like, it's like Jason Patrick in Smoke Jumpers. He just like, he was, just taking it from him, his lines and everything. Like he just wasn't feeling
Hot
it.
shot Leo on the set there. But,
I think Daniel Day-Lewis could do it.
But is he a wouldn't pass level 2? Yeah, you can't reboot a classic.
It's not but does he get a
allowed.
pass because of who he is? The studio would be like, you know what, screw it, let's do it.
Well, if the same actor or director want to go for it, then I guess they have free reign to do whatever they want. Yeah. So I've always been fascinated with method acting and method actors. Guys that really try to sink their teeth into a role. We touched on this last time on Demand a few weeks ago about Ben Affleck doing rewrites of Batman in his suit, right?
Yeah.
So
it's my favorite vision in my head.
He's not quite on that level yet, but who are some of your favorites that are on that level? We already touched on Daniel Day-Lewis.
You got to go. I mean, we talked about this last time, him losing his powers.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, because he can't get the health thing. But
he's not doing it anymore.
The Machinist was great. I mean, he gained a whole bunch of weight for American Hustle. He was a fat guy.
Yeah.
He's always going to be one of my favorite actors in general.
Yeah,
he's great.
He actually he snuffed out a homeless man in preparation for American Psycho.
I believe it. I like Jared Leto too. That's another one.
Jared Leto, he loves to sick himself. Oh man.
Who are yours? What's your favorites?
Well, those two obviously, but another one which has kind of fallen off big time based on movie selection has been Johnny Depp.
He kind of like lost all of his method acting powers because he spent too much time as a pirate, like in the Caribbean. Or is it the Caribbean?
It depends on where you're from.
The Caribbean? The Caribbean?
So as I mentioned, I find it fascinating, the art of method acting, and the greatest one living today is probably Daniel Day-Lewis, as we've said. So that's how we flow into our game here. A wise man and fellow method actor himself, who we failed to mention earlier, Nicolas Cage. There's a quote. There's a fine line between the method actor and the schizophrenic, which I think Cage bores on, and certainly Daniel Day-Lewis is a freak.
Yeah, he is a freak.
What I've done for you this evening, I have 10 factoids from Daniel Day-Lewis on set of some of his biggest roles. Last of the Mohicans, we got There Will Be Blood, Gangs of New York, and so on. Some of these are real. Some of these I made up myself. All of them are ridiculous. So I need you to decipher which ones are real and which ones I made up.
This is going to be hard. So, you know how I score at your games.
You're probably going to do very poorly in this, but I think you can do your best. And if you channel your inner
Daniel Day-Lewis,
I think you can get inside the mind of a game show contestant and really sink your teeth into this role. Are you ready?
I need the support of the listeners on this one. I need them to play along with me because I don't know. I feel like I'm on an island here.
So yeah, score yourself at home. If you score higher than Drew, then Drew will write you a public apology on Twitter. So, number 1. In the movie There Will Be Blood, there's a famous scene in a bowling alley where he's throwing bowling balls at Paul Dano, Paul Dano's character. Apparently on set, when Paul Dano wasn't looking, Daniel Day-Lewis would just toss bowling balls at Paul Dano to try to get a rise out of him,
make him angry,
get him up on his game, get him angry. Is that true, or did I make that up?
I actually, I'm going to get lambasted for saying this, but I've never actually seen that movie. I've never seen it, so I'm going to guess false. Are you kidding me? That was real?
He threw bowling balls at Paul Dano. This has been confirmed by Paul Dano.
Are we talking about Klitzy from The Girl Next Door?
Yes, we are.
He was becoming a method actor in his own right.
He was in Prisoners.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Jake Gyllenhaal and I forget the other guy. Who cares? Anyway. I also found another factoid from this movie that's not part of the game. There was a younger actor before Paul Dano who allegedly was set to play the role played by Paul Dano, and he quit
because Lewis
2 days into shooting because Lewis was so freaking crazy. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, so I didn't add it to the game, but that's a rumor.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
I believe it. Based on what I've seen, I believe it.
So incorrect first one. Number 2. Learn to build a canoe from scratch while playing the adopted Mohican in Last of the Mohicans.
True. I'm saying true.
So you think he literally learned how to make it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, correct.
All right. I finally got one.
This crazy son bitch whittling canoes. Just to know.
I finally got one.
Right.
I'm happy here.
Number 3. In the biopic My Left Foot, where she plays Christy Brown, who's paralyzed painter.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
He had to be lifted around on set, and he would never leave his wheelchair and insisted his meals be spoon-fed to him, all while on set. True or false?
That sounds false. That's ridiculous. It was good. Okay, finally.
True.
Am I 2-1 now? I'm 2-1.
It's true.
Wait, what?
You said false. It's true.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot.
Incorrect.
See, I told you guys, I am terrible at these games. I'm the worst.
This mofo acted like he's paralyzed because he's acting like he's paralyzed. All right. Number 4. In the movie Lincoln, spoiler alert on this question, by the way, he paid an intern to shoot him in the back of the head with a pellet gun when he was sitting and not expecting it, so you get a natural reaction for the final scene. True or false?
True.
I made that up. Come on now. It's like a shoot in the back of the head with a pellet gun. Come on.
But it's like throwing bowling balls. Come on, it's like that's actually something
you can
that
die from that.
Yeah, it's a pellet gun. It's like it's like a 9. Like he's not gonna die from a 9.
It would penetrate the skin.
It's like a 9. It's like a flesh wound. Come on.
He didn't go that nuts. Though I believe it.
A pellet gun. What about those like plastic BB guns? Like he could do that.
Airsoft gun.
Actually, I call poo on him for not doing that.
Yeah. What is he? Bale would have done it in his prime.
Yeah, Bale would have done that.
Yeah. All right, number 5. By the way, you have 1 right out of 4.
I can't believe this.
In the movie The Ballad of Jack and Rose, where he lives on an island commune, he moved out of his house and arranged to live separately with his wife in order to gain the experience of a character's life on a commune island.
That sounds true.
Okay. Pretty tame,
Finally.
Right?
What do I have? 2 out of 5?
2 out of 5. You're working with a 40% right now.
I mean, that's like going on vacation. That's not even that hard.
You have time to catch up. All right.
Okay.
If you get above 50%, then I'll buy you ice cream. All right. Number 6. In Lincoln, he demanded everyone call him Mr. President, and he wouldn't answer you unless you called him Mr. President.
True.
That is true.
See, I would be mad at him. I would tell him, go F off, buddy.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's
easy. That's like up there with Vacation on the Commune.
Yeah. All right. Number 7. Gangs of New York. Daniel Day-Lewis would antagonize Leo insistently and constantly on set to foster some genuine dislike because he didn't feel DiCaprio's performance was genuine enough in the early shooting. Now Gangs of New York, Leo is going for revenge for the death of his father.
So they're at odds.
They are at odds. He didn't feel Leo was up to snuff, so he would constantly antagonize him.
True.
And be a dick to him on
because
set.
I feel like he would want him to get even more mad. True. I'm saying true.
Incorrect.
That seems like something that he would do, though.
While he is a method actor, he is still a good person. And Leo is definitely up for the role. Even though I think this is his first movie after The Beach, which not so great. I like it, but it's not good.
I liked it.
All right. So you got 3 out of 7. You got to hurt. Well, you need 2 more.
I'm screwed, man.
Get to 5.
I'm screwed.
Number 8. The movie In the Name of the Father, where he plays a person who takes a rap for a crime he doesn't commit. I think it was a bombing.
Is he a
an
priest?
IRA bombing? No.
I never even heard of this one.
I never saw it either, but I read the synopsis. Spent nights locked in solitary confinement in an abandoned prison, just so he could get the feel for the life of a prisoner.
True. I feel like that's true.
Very true.
All right. I feel good about that.
Another softball lobbed it up.
But that's like not even that hard. Like he goes spend a couple of nights in the prison.
Not just in prison, in solitary confinement. You know what that is? That's like where there's no light.
A couple nights? Come on.
There's no light, man. You go nuts.
I can do that. Come on. A couple nights?
They say a week in the hole is like a year. That's what they say.
All right.
Number 9. Last of the Mohicans. He would only eat food that he killed, so he learned how to track, hunt, and skin animals.
True. I feel like that's true.
That's
definitely.
hardcore. And that is true.
Yeah, you know what? That's hardcore, and I give him that. That's pretty hardcore.
Leo learned from that, my friend.
Yeah, while
making The Revenant. So you got 5. You made it to 50%. Let's see if you can pass.
If Leo only knew that you fell asleep.
The preparation for There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis had an oil derrick built in his backyard. A replica.
Is it like in Spinal Tap when they build like the 3-inch one or the 3-foot one instead of the 30 feet one?
No, it's not like Stonehenge.
3-inch instead of 3. An oil derrick? That seems ridiculous. I'm gonna say false. I don't think that's true.
Oh my God!
Did I really just pass by the skin of my teeth?
F+.
I passed.
60%. So there you have it. He did not build an oil derrick, but he should have. He really should have.
That's right? Like easy. You know what I mean? He could have easily done that. Just get a couple people, he could have the actors, he could make the actors do it for him.
It just goes to show you that while some were true, some were false, all are ridiculous. This guy's nuts, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That shit crazy.
So, you know what? You gave me a good idea, because I feel like in a future show, you need to do one of those games with Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the stories are better.
He literally got himself bit in the neck to become a vampire in Vampire's Kiss.
Those bees were not CGI. They were real. Real bees.
Oh, God, not the bees. You bitches.
So I got an F+ on that game. Not the worst I've done.
That's probably the best you've done, actually.
It's probably, I was going to say not the best, but actually it probably was the best that I've ever
Good work.
done.
You get ice cream.
So let's wrap up the show with a couple things that we've been watching. I don't know what you've been watching this week. Any recommendations for anybody out there before we sign off?
Oh, it's been a busy week for me. I haven't really watched much of anything this week. I did catch the last half of the Footloose reboot. So we're talking about reboots. I randomly caught it on FX. It caught me because Julianne Hough.
Hugh? Haug.
She's hot.
Julianne Haug.
I caught her and watching the reboot of Footloose. I never saw the original with Kevin Bacon. And it was a terrible movie.
So did they follow our gates? Should it have been greenlit?
I don't think they tried to I don't think they tried.
They definitely didn't try.
They didn't try, so they wouldn't have gotten past level 4.
I feel like it's been enough time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they got past level 4 there.
But it made me want to watch the Bacon original, because I feel like it had to be better than that.
What if Kevin Bacon demanded a reboot right now with him as the main character?
50-year-old Kevin Bacon.
But playing
as
a
Red.
20-year-old person
as
or whatever
Red.
it is.
Yeah.
That would be a sight to be seen.
Oh, man. Putting the baby in a quarter.
I haven't really seen much other than the Captain America Civil War trailer, which looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited for that.
I'm done with that.
I know you're done with Spider-Man.
I don't know watching the Captain America
There was
movie.
a Spider-Man in there.
There's a Spider. Now they're putting Spider-Man in that movie.
Spider-Man.
Oh, who is it? Is it Andrew
It's
Garfield?
I don't even know the guy. I think it's
Is it just some random
Tom
dude?
something. It's a new guy.
Yeah.
But it looks.
Weren't they rumoring like Donald Glover for a while?
But they went with a different character. They
Yeah.
were going to make it Miles Morales, but they wound up going with Peter Parker, which I thought it would have been pretty cool actually if Donald Glover was in it. I think he's a great actor. Would have been pretty cool.
Tell me how it is. I'm not going to watch it.
I'm excited for it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I've also been watching this show called The Expanse on Sci-Fi. It's like total.
You're watching a sci-fi
It's
show?
like hard sci-fi. No, I don't even know what that means. No, it's honestly it's like Battlestar Galactica. It looks cool. It's got Thomas Jane in it, which is really weird.
All right. Bonus points.
It's kind of cool.
Bonus points.
I don't know. It's based on a bunch of books. I haven't read them, but
Man.
the show looked cool, and I don't know why I'm watching it, but I'm
Thomas
enjoying it.
Jane is in a sci-fi series.
Like direct to sci-fi
times
too.
times are tough.
He went from Punisher, and that just kind of killed his career.
Yeah, times are tough. Remember he was hung for a while?
Yeah, he was hung. He was very hung.
See, he went from HBO series to sci-fi. That's how far it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, let's get out of here. Before we head out,
Go play some Rocket League.
we can play some Rocket League. Going to give you an iTunes review for one of
Got
our
a new one.
loyal new listeners. Simply Amazing by JBarbs92. Hey, JBarbs.
Thank you for leaving this review.
Wrote, the Little Giants episode brought me back to one of my favorite movies growing up. It made me want to go back and rewatch the movie again. Not to mention how hilarious Replacements episode is. It was pretty hilarious. The banter between co-hosts is great, and the games they play are very fun. Can't wait for more. Well, J-Barbs, we can't wait to give you more. So thank you very much for writing in. Give us a 5-star review.
If you haven't had the chance to do so, please head out to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. It really does help us so much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you'll get all of our new episodes hand-delivered to you by Mr. Badway himself.
That's right, I do go door to door. That is correct.
Door to door, the podcast man. If you're looking for our website, hit us up, thelastrowpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter @thelastRowPod. Facebook.com/thelastRowPod. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Just end it.
But I think I've had enough. So on that note, we will see you guys
Why are you still listening?
next week.